In this video, Mr. SR Raghunathan will continue talking about the life of a photojournalist and the different experiences one has while working with a newspaper. He is also going to speak about how the digital camera has transformed and changed the photojournalism scenario. Let's go over to Mr. SR Raghunathan.
Well, people who really wanted to get into photojournalism, their scope is very high. Very high in the sense, when I came to photojournalism in the year 1990-91, the scope is only 6 to 9%. 6 to 9%. And now it has risen to 22%. There are two things you have to keep in mind. It's a very competitive world. You have to be very, very competitive. The competition is too high out there. You have to compete with young and old alike. New people have new ideas and they have new ideas to carry the news pictures in a different way, and they still think very faster and quicker in a way the news picture has to be. They do that, and at the same time, when you are quite young, you have to be very, very innovative in a sense. You have to watch what others are doing, others work, how they work, go with them to the field, at least for internship. That's very important. You intern with a newspaper or with any photographer for that matter for about a couple of months. Not every photographer will teach you everything. You have to be vigilant. You have to keep watching all the time what he is using, how he is using the lens, wide angle for what assignment, telelens for what assignment, occasions. You keep watching him all the time, and you learn all the time. You don't need to note it down, because there are certain things in life which cannot be explained. You have to experience it. Experience it and put those experiences to practice, which will make you perfect. You will be fine. And for youngsters, the competition is very high and you have to be very innovative. You have to clearly stand tall amongst the huge crowd in which they are trying to get that place. As a photographer for a newspaper, you are always a newsman. Once a newsman, always a newsman. Even if you are going to go on a off or on a holiday. When you go out on a holiday, like really happened to one of my colleagues who went on a holiday, when he saw a car burning with 5 people charred to death, we published some time back, and he was having a camera, he shot the picture, and he was on his holiday and he has to search for an internet center, sent the picture in the middle of the night, and we published it. So once a newsman, always a newsman. That is very, very important, and it's sometimes it's hard to digest that you don't have too much of your personal life, and everything is very very difficult to explain. There's certain things here, and what do I say? I mean, you become a newsman out of your interest. So this personal life, you may have, sometimes you're really fed up with all these things. People keep calling you all the time because you're important. And when people stop calling you, you may think that it's time for you to do something else in the same area. If not doing photography, but processing of pictures, or in the library to preserve the old pictures, to bring back older pictures to light, and create a huge library of what you have done all these years. Remember that when you keep getting calls, which means you are very important. And if you don't, it's time for you to do something else. And I still keep getting calls. Okay, so as far as the photograph is concerned, what you have done outside is one part, and we have a life inside the office is another part. See, the life inside the office is very, very difficult. Why I'm saying this is, you have given birth to a child, a picture. You have to name it because it is your child. You have to name it. So you always have to have in mind that every picture has to have who, what, where, when, why, and how. 5 W's and 1 H. You're all aware of it. So you have to say who is there in the picture, what is there in the event, where it happened, and why the entire thing happened, and when did it happen, maybe yesterday, day before yesterday, and how the entire thing happened. So that one point, and the first part is this. And then we all have a digital thing. We are in the digital era, and we have the networked interactive content access. We have something similar to that called Nika. So when you put the picture along with the caption, the Nika will take the picture and it takes to the pages. And in the pages, you may have 100 pictures for every assignment, out of which you would have published 10 pictures. I'm sure that every photographer's first picture and the last picture are very, very important, because the first picture, this is going to be the moment when he stopped taking the picture and he goes right through the last picture, and he thinks the last picture is also important. But as far as any photographer is concerned, even I'm concerned, the first picture and last picture is always important. But there are so many pictures in between. So out of 100 pictures you have taken, you may pick and choose some 8 to 10 pictures. Then you publish it in the Nika, in which the photo editor will discuss with you, out of 10 pictures, he selects 5 pictures. And again it comes back to you and asks, which one do you prefer? And you will definitely jump in. The first picture, the last picture will always be there. So you take both the pictures, and one picture is somewhere in between. So 3 pictures you give him back to the photo editor. And he picks up 2 pictures of the desk's choice, because one is horizontal, one is vertical. You always have to think that, the space will not be created for the photographs. It depends upon the availability of the space and according to the advertisement which is pouring in. Advertisements are open till 10 o'clock in the night for the city edition. So you may not know. You may even caught unawares that the picture would have been there on the page, but the next day when you see the paper, only the news item will be there, not the picture. So that's the irony. So you should be prepared to give it in a square format, in a vertical format, or in a horizontal format. So that again another thing. And one important thing is that you have to have a very good coordination with the desk, because ultimately not the photo editor, not the photographer, not the news editor, but the person who's sitting on the desk will decide the pages, because he is always under constant pressure. There will be an important news item, there will be much more even important, there will be some breaking news. So when you see the reporters, the copy editors will always see the reports are always given in an inverted pyramid format. The most important on the top, the least important on the bottom, so that when they cut from the bottom, nothing important is lost. Similarly, the picture has some kind of content in it. The subject, the most important thing. On the other day, when I was shooting a child which was dead for 5 minutes and came alive, it has a lung infection, taken to Apollo, and the entire family was present. In fact, I was shooting with the entire team of doctors who saved the child, and I was really happy to see the closeness between the bonding between the mother and the kid. The kid didn't even get down from her mother, not even for a second. So we were trying to capture the face of the kid, but all in vain, and finally we have to capture with the mother. And somehow I got the face of the picture tightly, but the very next day, only the face of the kid went because of the constraint of the space. So at the end of the day, you should always be the winner in the sense that you should be able to give them a different variety of pictures in one assignment, so that they will not reject the picture. At least some relevance, even if it is going to be smaller, to the story, the picture will definitely go. That's how it is. Hindu has got more than 10 millions of pictures, live pictures, which was published, unpublished, and there are much more to say in the form of negatives. As a 140-year-old company, the company has done everything in digital. So most of the papers are in digital, most of the pictures are in digital, and like this I like this paper, when many other paper have invested quite a lot for the photo archive. News you can get from anywhere, but as far as the photography is concerned, I doubt that many newspapers do have this kind of archives. We have archives in which we have given pictures to the prime ministers. It's gone from here. I have printed personally for the book which they have published in Delhi. So people far and wide come to us for older pictures. That's the biggest thing for any archive to supply. I mean, even the government gazette, they do not have such pictures. We do have. We are very happy and proud of it. And archives are very, very important. What is pictured today is news tomorrow. What is news tomorrow is history some years later. So you're not preserving pictures, you're preserving history. As far as the digital is concerned, let me tell you that we have come through a very long way. 30 years of photography. This is my 30th year, and I have completed 20 years in the Hindu, and this is my 23rd year. But the 20th year award I'm getting this year because 2 decades is such a long period, and I have come across a black and white Ilford, from Ilford to self-pooling, from there to color, to transparencies, and then to the digital. I mean, it was slowly injected. It is not overnight change. For first few years, I refused to adapt to the digital era. But later, when the digital photography started taking its place prominently, 30%, 40%, 50%, 60%, then I thought, okay, fine, this is the time for me to get into it. The digital era has its both merit and demerit. So let's not talk about the demerit, because many of you will not have experienced the film era. But you have to see what a film camera is. You have to know the nuances of it, because it's all starts from there, the basics. But as far as the digital is concerned, anybody can become a photographer. A cell phone is enough for anybody to become a photographer. But this is not the only gadget which can take that one good picture. As far as the digital is concerned in the camera, you have a larger space and you can do wonders with the image registry, the image registry plane. But there's a lot of difference between this and that. One is the color. The color correction is really great when you take it with a professional camera. Here you have a restricted colors. And most importantly, when you have this color separation, over digital and a cell phone. A cell phone, of course, are quicker. This is very useful for any internet medium. Probably for your internet news, you can use a cell phone. But in the larger run, when you have to preserve picture, preserve the colors, preserve everything in the picture. Like I said, you take it in the RAW. You don't have a RAW here, but many of the cameras claim that they do have RAW, but I have personally experienced that many of these RAW pictures, what they claim about it to be RAW is not, which is not true. And I don't know what kind of compensation they give to those areas of light and dark, lights and shades. So, but for people who have used to digital cameras, they will never change to any other medium. And we are in the medium format. We are going for a higher format in the next 4-5 years. So digital has its pros and cons. I told you what are all the plus points. I mean, you can send pictures quickly, you can edit it quickly, you can enlarge it, you can do whatever you want to do with the digital. I mean, you don't need to process it. But the negative aspect of any digital is it's quick and everybody can steal your ideas. I mean, in a jiffy, you take a picture and you show it to someone else. That's what happened to many of us. So the idea is stolen. But once the idea is registered in a newspaper, after you have taken it in the film format, go to your dark room, process it, see it yourself, and you do the printing and until publishing, you be with the picture. But here, this is taken instantaneously. So you have to grow your ideas constantly, every day, every hour, every minute. Your idea evolves around your pictures, and do not You can share it with people, but not every of your ideas to people, because digital is so fast and it reaches far and wide. Touch of a button, it goes out of your this thing. So you have no control over those pictures. So this is what I have to say about the pros and cons of a digital.
We hope that you have learnt more about the practice of photojournalism and what it is to be working with a newspaper. We are going to continue in the next video.